everybody, it's Helen Hillix, and I am your host for From My Heart to Yours and my YouTube channel, helenhillix.com. And anyway, I'm so excited to be with you today and to talk to you about something that has been coming up over and over and over. You know, I do online series on a regular basis, interviews with experts, and then I talk to so many people who are wanting support that see me on those series. And one thing that comes up over and over again is that people are looking for a quick fix in life. And my last summit was about sacred sexuality revealed. So, people contact me about, how do I have a great sex life? How do I, get better orgasms? How do I make the spark happen again in my relationship? And what they're really, and I've given them a 30-minute window to talk to me, and they think they're going to get their answer in 30 minutes. And it just never ceases to amaze me how people are, and it's nobody's fault, but I really want to talk today about this, what it really takes to change and be happy. And, I see, and you do too, I know you get 100 emails a day that talk about the 5 easy steps to wealth, or the 6 simple steps to great health, or the 3 steps to self-love, or the 4 steps to the best sex life you ever had. And it's like, I just have to laugh every time I see those because it's so crazy. And yet, where do we get that idea? Well, it's easy to see. And I've talked about this many times if you've listened to my other videos or podcasts about our instant gratification focus in our society. If you want to feel better, take this pill. If you don't like your body, get plastic surgery. If you don't like that wrinkle, get some Botox or some lip filler or dye your hair. It's crazy. If you want to feel more like a man, buy a new car. I mean, it's just insane that we are taught that these things, these experiences, or, jump out of an airplane or whatever, is going to make your life happy. Well, it is fun for the moment. But what is going to bring you, to reality, to living with reality and being happy with reality is a whole different thing. And I just want to say, go ahead and try if you want to do one of the things that says 5 easy steps to becoming a millionaire or whatever it is. But any one of you who has tried one of those programs or packages or, techniques, I know has gotten something out of it, but not what you were looking for. So I want to talk today about what it really takes to change. Because if you're not happy, the thing that it really takes to be happy is to change yourself. And of course, this, again, shouldn't be news to anybody, but sometimes it is. That it's not about changing your partner, although sometimes partners are not the right match and you really shouldn't be together. I'm not saying that. But another thing about our society is we are taught to cover up our own pain with blaming other people. Well, it's Trump's fault, or it's Obama's fault, or it's, the governor's fault, or it's my husband's fault, or it's my mother-in-law's fault, or it's my parents' fault. That's another way that we think we're going to feel better. But of course, and I am that, I'm not above blaming. I would feel better if my husband would just take on more projects around the house. I'd be happier. So what does it really take to be happy? Well, it takes changing yourself. I just want to say it again. If you want to be happy, it means changing yourself. And, some of you may stop listening to this recording right now, because that is not the answer that you want to hear. Another thing that really just floors me is all the dating advice out there. And I'll do another podcast just on that. But but I want to throw that in here too, is, the 6 easy steps to attracting your soulmate. Blah, blah, blah. If you're not connecting to people of quality, you need to look at yourself and see what it is about the way you feel and what you expect and the way you interact with people. That's what needs to happen, is you need to change yourself. So, I've heard so many pieces of advice from clients who have, also participated in a dating forum or something, where they say, don't tell them any of your problems, in the beginning. Wait and hold off and tell those to them later. But it's like, they're basically saying, don't be real and you'll find your soulmate. Well, of course, it's the same thing. It's like you want to be happy, but you don't want to change yourself and your way of being, which is being authentic. So what does it really take? The first thing is, it takes your willingness to be deeply honest with yourself. Deeply honest with yourself. And what do I mean by that? Well, let's say that I notice that I'm being really reactive to my husband, and every little thing that he does is just irritating the hell out of me. And it's like I could go into a litany of all the things that he is and isn't doing and how irritating he is. Or I can stop and say, I wonder why I'm so irritable with him. I wonder what's going on inside me that makes me want to blame him or separate from him emotionally. And that's a much harder question. I was working with a client yesterday, and, she was telling me, we were looking at how reactive she is. And, a certain situation she was relating to me. And I said, were you triggered by that situation? No, I wasn't triggered by that situation. He, blah, blah, blah. And then I said, well, that means that you were triggered. No, he, blah, blah, blah. And she just kept referring to him and what he was doing. And again, the more she did that, the funnier it was, and she could begin to see it, of how she was not focusing on herself. She was not being honest with herself. She was excusing any kind of reaction on her part by blaming his action. And this is incredibly common. And again, I still do it myself. So I'm not judging you, but I'm saying, be willing to be ruthlessly honest with yourself about why you do certain things that you do. And being reactive to other people is a huge part of what makes us unhappy in life. And it isn't just being reactive to other people. It's like being reactive to the pandemic right now. Are you angry at the way things are going? Are you angry at your boss? Are you angry at your children for being at home instead of at school? Are you angry at the school for not doing a better job? All of those feelings are really normal and natural and understandable. But if you find yourself just over and over and over returning to that anger and the irritability and the blame, then you're going to miss the point. You're not going to be happy. Absolutely not going to be happy. And there's nothing you can do about most of those situations. The only thing you can change, again, is yourself. So if you can really get deeply honest with yourself about, I wonder why, I wonder what's really going on with me. And so often it's about self-hatred, or it's about fear or anxiety about whatever the situation is, whether it's with a boyfriend or it's with the pandemic or it's financial or whatever it is, health-wise even. So be honest with yourself first. And once you are honest with yourself, then don't start beating yourself up instead of the other person. I mean, that's a very natural tendency, is that the real reason that we blame other people so often is because we feel ashamed of something in ourselves. So the step of challenging you to be deeply honest sometimes is going to bring up some feelings of shame in you. And my suggestion is to really have compassion for yourself. You'll see your own shortcomings. You'll see your own vulnerabilities or weaknesses, however you want to call them. You will see those if you're deeply honest with yourself. That I tend to be very critical of my husband when I'm feeling stressed and unsupported. And so it's like, okay, so that's not a nice thing to see about myself, but I can have compassion for myself. Because if you don't have compassion for yourself in that second step of what it really takes to change, then you're never going to change, because then you're just going to be in self beat up instead of blaming somebody else. So the second step has to do with accepting, who you are. And if you have a partner and the issue is around your partner, is who is your partner? There are situations in which you will find yourself noticing that, I am a lot stronger than my partner is. Or I am, it's obvious that I'm a lot more intelligent than my partner is, or I'm more hardworking than my partner is, or I'm more centered, or I'm more social, or I'm much healthier than my partner is. My brain works a lot better than my partner's does. What do you do when you notice those discrepancies? And it's like, that's part of being honest. Instead of pretending that your partner is capable of doing everything you're doing when they may not be strong. And they may not be capable of thinking the way you think or responding the way you respond. But it's about accepting the reality of who you are and who your partner is. Or you may notice the opposite, that you're the vulnerable one. You're the weaker one physically. You're the weaker one mentally or emotionally or intellectually or socially. And to be honest about that, it is so important, because if you just go into denial in order to avoid shaming yourself, then you cannot ever change and you cannot ever be happy. And there are no 6 easy steps that you can pop into without really getting real with yourself and then accepting who you are and who your partner is. Or if you don't have a partner, that's fine, just who you are. And that, one of the things I was working with this client about the other day was she's been given the feedback that she's different all her life, but she's vacillated between self-hatred of, I know I'm a loser, I was born different, and I'm never going to be any good, to swinging to the other side of, I'm perfect. I'm absolutely perfect the way I am. And, I'm going to be fabulous from now on. And it's like neither one of those is really being deeply honest with yourself and accepting who you are. In order to really change and be happy, we have to accept the reality of, okay, I have social challenges. People have told me I talk too much. People have told me that I don't listen very well. People have told me that I don't stop and take the time to communicate to them. And then when it doesn't turn out well, I blame them for it. It's like, notice the reality and accept the reality about yourself and the reality about those around you. And you will then be able to take the next step, which is to identify, once you have been honest with yourself and you have accepted who you are, your strengths, your weaknesses, and those of the people around you, then you can move to the third step, which is, what is your real vision? Is not just the surface vision? People say, I want to be able to maintain my erection longer, or I want to, have more exciting sex with my husband, or I want to be a millionaire. Whatever I want to be thin and fit. It's like, what is the real vision that you have for yourself underneath the superficial manifestation of it? And I don't mean to discount the superficial manifestation. There's nothing wrong with those, but you're never going to accomplish those if you don't understand what is the deeper thing that you're really searching for. Is it a sense of safety? Is it a sense of self-love? You know, when I get thin and fit, I'll love myself. Or when I have a better erection, then I will be more of a man. You know, what is it that you're really looking for deep down? Is it self-expression? Is it self-love? Is it safety? You know, is it the ability to be close to people because you realize you've got relationship challenges and no matter how hard you try, you haven't been able to really master the ability to relate to people on a deep level. So it's so important. And this is what I find in the calls, the hundreds of calls that I've done with people over the last few months, literally hundreds of calls of people wanting this or that or the other superficial thing, when really the deeper thing that they're looking for is self-love, or it's self-acceptance, or it's self-expression, or it's the ability to relate to others. And usually under the inability to relate to others is a misunderstanding of ourselves. You know, who am I and what are my real strengths and weaknesses? Again, this goes back to number one, is that ruthless honesty with ourselves. So number three is really about, once you think you know what your vision is, what is the real deeper desire, longing that needs your attention in order to be happy? And, you know, is it releasing shame? And that of course is underneath the, you know, self-love is the what blocks that self-love so often is shame about ourselves that we got from our parents, our religion, our society. So, you know, is it the inability or the need to have more commitment to your life? And what's blocking that commitment? So these are the really, really deep things that people are looking for, that is the foundation of their happiness. And whatever is blocking it is what needs to change. And then the fourth one is, once you feel like you've got those things answered, is you've got to get support. Another thing that I see in the hundreds of calls I take is people have tried everything in the world before they come to getting support. And I understand it. I am the same way. You know, I have to make myself get support because my ego gets in the way and says, I can do this on my own. So it's just so ridiculous. And it doesn't work. I mean, I talked to a young woman this morning that had, you know, she had tried this and she tried that and she tried this and she tried that. And it's all things that she could, you know, go in and, you know, get an hour of treatment or whatever, and then go home and work on these thoughts and, you know, work on, you know, do journaling and do online courses that, you know, you do on your own. And those can be some real support to people. But what our society, you know, especially in the United States and probably all the Western cultures, it's like, be independent, do it on your own, figure it out yourself, pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. And so people are reluctant to get support and to say, I need support. I need help. I can't do it on my own. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. So get support. Be willing to get support. That's being ruthlessly honest with yourself, is that all of your efforts to do it on your own have not gotten you there. And whatever other efforts you've made has not gotten you there. So get the support you need. And the fifth step is be prepared for the long haul, guys. However old you are, even if you're 21, you have 21 years, day in and day out. That's thousands and thousands of, you know, individual situations that have reinforced you being the way you are. and you're not going to get out of it in a 4-week program. It's just absolutely ridiculous to expect yourself to change that way. It's not the way we change. A friend of mine, Beth Green, talks about that change is slow, nonlinear, and sudden. And what that means, it takes a long process to change ourselves in these deep, deep ways. And you'll go up and down. It's nonlinear. You'll go up and down. And then all of a sudden, you'll reach that critical mass, if you want to talk about it that way. And you will, catapult to a new level. And then it starts all over again. The next thing you want to master will be slow, nonlinear, and sudden all over again. And that's how it is for the rest of your lives. If you're lucky, I'm going to be 71 in a few months, and I'm still very much in that process. I still see myself struggling with things in a slow, nonlinear, and then suddenly I'm at a new level kind of way. And honestly, it's what makes life exciting. We are not taught that. We are taught that, you set a goal, you accomplish that goal, and then you're done. But that's not the way it works. Even with a fitness goal, you set the goal, you reach the goal, and then you get to maintain it for the rest of your life. And it's the same way with relationship goals or self-love goals, is that you have to practice that self-love and self-nurturing and self-care every single day, for the rest of your life. And sometimes you're going to be better at it than other times. But the process of becoming who we are is, I'm someone new tomorrow. And so I have to become who I am that day and then the following day. And again, this is what makes life so exciting. It makes it such an adventure. And yet that idea contradicts how we are raised culturally. Is, you go to school and then you finish school and then you're done learning and then you go make money. Well, that's not how it is either. If you're really a devoted seeker and learner, you're going to be learning for the whole rest of your life. There is no degree that's going to bring you the happiness you seek. It's a process. And then the sixth step is really keep going. And I was sort of alluding to that in the fifth step, but the sixth step is keep going. It's never over, and you're never a failure as long as you're continuing to try. You're never a failure. So just keep going, guys. And a friend of mine, has been chronically ill, and she just kept going and kept seeking new and different ways of dealing with all these symptoms she had. And, she discovered after, 60 years that she has this particular syndrome, and is doing somewhat better, even though it's very, very late in the game now, because there are some medications that can help. And it's like, you just keep going, whatever it is. The process of continuing to pursue change within yourself and happiness in life is that you feel hopeful, you feel optimistic, because I'm doing something for myself, whatever it is. And in the pandemic, it's like, okay, you may not be able to, to get a job right now, but there are definitely other things that can give you that sense that I'm making the most of my life. And this, goes back to the, be deeply honest with yourself. And it kind of comes full circle. If you're deeply honest with yourself, then there are things to change about yourself. And I don't care whether you're paralyzed or you're sick or you're in a pandemic or you're poor. It's like you can still change yourself. You can still develop new reactions to what's happening in the world. So keep going, guys, keep going, and keep believing that you can change. Keep having faith in yourself and in the process of being honest and, accepting who you are and still pursuing the next step. And if you do all these 6 steps, which will be for the rest of your life, it is not an ending program, it's for the rest of your life. If you do that, you can be happy today, tomorrow, and for the rest of your life. So that's all I have for you today, guys. I love you all, and I'm here for you. If you ever want to talk to me, you can contact me at helen@helenhillix.com. And I will see you next week for a really interesting discussion with a couple of guys that are experts on sleeping, which is really important if you're going to be happy. So anyway, love you. Talk to you soon. Bye.